down, even if it's wrong, write it down anyways, right? If you made a mistake, write it down, write the correct answer down. So grab a marker or a pen, and we'll get started. So obviously this will be worth 20 when we're all said and done, because I added some questions here. First of all, calculate the mean salary. That should be pretty straightforward. You add up all those numbers, you get 187,000 divided by 6. And this is what you get if you round it correctly. Right? On average, the salaries of the employees is 31,166. No problem. Identify any outliers, calculate the trimmed mean. If you look at the set, you should realize that 60,000 is definitely an outlier. Anybody say 15,000 as well? So I will give you that mark. Sure. On the test, it'll be very obvious if it's only one or if it's two. So we'll give you marks regardless. So, but the trimmed mean, your answer should be the same as mine, because we take the lowest out and we take the highest out, right? So if you made both of them outliers, you get the same answer. My way of doing that is I take away 15,000 and 60,000, right? I remove that from my previous total, and now I only have 4 values left to consider, right? You could have also just added up the 4 that are left. You get 117,000 divided by 4. So now your average is $28,000. That's your new average, your trimmed average, so to speak. And it makes sense that it went down because the upper outlier was the difference was a lot greater than the lower outlier if you made that 15,000 outlier. Okay? Explain why there's a difference between the trimmed mean and the arithmetic mean. You can just say the trimmed mean omits outliers, comma, while the arithmetic mean includes 112,000? Yes. Sorry, it's 112,000, but it's still 28,000, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, that is definitely 112. It looks like a 7, but it's 2. Yeah. So 28,000. Why are you getting 3 marks? Well, you get 1 mark for identifying the outliers, and then 2 marks for identifying the correct trimmed mean, which means you have to make an adjustment to the sum and to the number of values you're considering. Trimmed mean omits outliers, while the arithmetic mean includes all values in the set. Right? That's basically the main difference. Sometimes I ask, which one would you use? Which trimmed or the arithmetic? You should say trimmed mean, right? Because the outlier is kind of like an anomaly. It's not normal. Let's take it out, and then we'll have a better idea of what actually happens, what actually generally is the case. Okay. Question 2, solve for x. In this case, right, it's side x. You should recognize that this is side angle side, right? 2 sides, the angle in between. So that calls for cosine law. You should have a formula for SAS and SSS, right? Like 3 sides given. So here, x squared is 3 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 3 times 7 times cosine of 28. If you have this set up, you get 1 mark already because you used cosine law, 1 mark in your favor already. And then you will get another 2 marks for the work that follows, right? So if you type all of this into your calculator, you should be getting 20.0 916, and that keeps going. I'm using all the values. If you use 4, that's fine. And so your final answer is this. So 1 mark for the setup that has to have cosine law, 1 mark for the work, and 1 mark for the correct final answer. That's how I mark this trig from now on. Okay. The next one, I see a pair. I know that this is sine law, so I'm going to go sine of 92 over 27.3. And watch out, right? In this case, the angle is across the side you're interested in. So we can just go sine of 38 degrees over side x, cross multiply and divide. By the way, if there's sine law, if you set it up like this, you get 1 mark already. 1 mark for that. And then it's 27.3 times sine of 38 divided by sine of 92. So here's where a good calculator is going to be your friend. And your answer is 16.82, and we're finding a side, so it's centimeters. I can't review everything, so I didn't have one where you have to solve for the angle, maybe next time. So you just make sure you have that. And marks, you would get 1 for using sine law, 1 for the work, and another one for your final answer, assuming it's correct. So this page is 12. This page is worth 12. So sine law, cosine law, quick review, blast from the past. Backside, Renia is purchasing a vehicle for $27,350 after taxes and fees, so everything in. She'll be making a $12,000 down payment. Calculate her monthly payment if the interest rate is this over 4 years. So to find the payment, I gotta take the actual price I'm paying, I subtract the down payment. If I see this 1 mark, you get 1 mark for that. Then you have to find the correct rate, which hopefully you were able to see. That is 2247. You get another mark for that. So you get a mark for taking off the down payment, you get a mark for the correct rate, and you will get a mark for figuring out your payment. But can I just encourage you to always figure out what this is? When you subtract that, you get 15,350. What do we call this? Loan. That's the loan. That is basically how much you're borrowing, right? Because you're paying down some of it, so the rest you're borrowing. And that's what you're paying this rate on. So that is 344.91. You get another mark for that. How's that? 1 mark for taking off the down payment, 1 mark for coming up with this, and 1 mark for actually coming up with the correct answer. I'm not asking, this is not calculating the interest on the first month. This is total interest. You should have, I don't know what I call that formula, to be honest. I just gave you a formula. You take the payment, whatever payment you got up here, you bring it with you, times 12 months, because we're always monthly. And in this case, times 4 years. So you're making 48 payments of that, minus, you always take the loan away from that amount. You get, if you do this right, 1205.68. So you would get 1 mark, sorry, you get half a mark for figuring this out. And then another half for having this there. And you would get a full mark for coming up with the difference. whatever payment you got, let's say you got 500 and something, you bring that with you. I honor the steps, right? So if you're using what you did before, no problem, we give you the marks there. This here is also called total paid to the bank. This is what you will have paid the bank over 48 months, right? So remember that. And now the best one of all, expected value. We all love that one. But it's not that bad. Expected value calls for probability that you will win times the gain minus probability that you will lose times the loss. Like how much would you be losing in that? So these are dollar amounts, folks. Whereas these are fractions or decimals, okay? So probability of winning, there are only 3 winners out of 325, okay? So that's your probability of winning. How much would you be gaining? Well, you win $5, but you always need to take away how much you paid to play the game. You need to do that because you're not winning the whole $5. It costs you something to play. Minus, this is the tricky one. It's still out of 325. 3 are winners, so 322 are non-winners, right? I basically take this away from the total to give me that. I put that in brackets like that, and you multiply that by 1.25. This is the cost. That's how, like if you don't win, then you would just lose $1.25. And now you need to do a little bit of work, clean it up. I will leave it like that. This is 375 here. If you subtract this, minus 322 over 325 times 1.25. And now I grab my calculator. You could have used it already. So you go 3 divided by 325, right? 3 divided by 325 equals times 3.75. You write that down. It's a dollar amount already, 0.03 minus 322 divided by 325, right? Times $1.25. So that's 1.24. Technically, you should be using 4 decimals, but I'm okay with it. But 0.3 minus 1.24 is going to be a negative, right? So 0.03 minus 1.24, that's negative 1.21. So yesterday I went to an ice cream store with my boys, and they're like, "Hey, Dad, you can win if you get the white marble." And I sat down and I calculated the expected value, and I said, "No, son, it's negative, so we're not. I'm just kidding." 1.20? Did you use all decimals? Yeah, so that's good. I prefer that. Yeah. But 1.20, 1.21, I would give you. But you got to be able to, regardless, like cover up this number. If your answer is negative, don't play. If it's positive, you play, right? So the actual number, when it comes to deciding, doesn't matter. How would I give you marks here? Well, I would give you, for this part here, I would give you 1 mark. I would also give you a full mark for figuring out the percentage of, like, the probability of losing. And then you would get another mark for calculating the final. Okay, so this page is out of 8, but guess what?